So my life, I always feel like I'm falling apart at any given moment, and there is a lot of chaos. Um, I'm a parent, and I have two kids. Both my wife and I work, and I try to do my best at any given time. And part of the reciprocity project, as I've been doing this, is just really telling people like this is a normal life. Like to normalize the fact that you never feel on top of things, you're always behind, that there is nothing that you could do that will ever sort of solve those particular problems. And when I was younger, I used to think like, hey, if I was just successful, whatever that means, right? Like if I just had all my shit together, that my life would be so much easier, and things would be sort of put together. And at any given moment when I sort of accomplish something and I do something, quote unquote stereotypical success that everybody looks at, um, it doesn't really change anything. And what I've learned as I've gotten older is to be just more calmer with who I am and know that there is elements of, you can't sort of rush things. And the only thing that you can do is just get back up and repeat. And there is this element of like, I want to have my shit together. I want to have my, you know, um, make it so it seems like everything is working. But there's just a lot of life that you can't do that with. And if you choose to live, right? I mean, really live. Like for me, having a family. Yeah, we could have chose, my wife and I could have chose not having a family. In fact, having my wife around and being in a family is is unproductive, right? Like even just having my wife around is unproductive because I remember that choice. I remember like, oh, do I prioritize having a girlfriend or do I work? And for a while, I was like, no, I'll work. But eventually, I met the right girl, and um, but all of these things are sort of choices to live life, like to live what kind of a normal, quote unquote, person would do, and evolutionary speaking, right? We have, some kids and sort of procreate and all that kind of stuff, but it's a choice of where you actually live. But when you choose to live, and even if I was to maximize everything, right, maximize my research output, there's always something: brushing my teeth, combing my hair, having baths, or showers or whatever, sleeping in a proper area, like driving home or, commuting to and from work. Like all of those things are life that you choose to do. And those are all choices to do that. And sorry, somebody was just sitting in front of me on their phone. But they just, you choose to do these things, and if you choose to live, right, like function in reality, then that means that your life is never going to be put together. There's always exceptions. There's always things that you feel totally disorganized. There's nothing really working out. All of those things. That's the realness of the world around me. And it wasn't until I really started admitting that it's never going to be the sort of perfect fairy tale thing that everybody is told. And, the stories that are often imagined, the story tale, either in education, the sort of story that they tell you, the more education you get, the better off you are. The things that you see on YouTube, or, all of this sort of basic stuff, that world doesn't exist, right? Or the world of back in my day, it was the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, where this guy was a lawyer and had his life all together, had a couple of kids and all that kind of stuff. But really, and we don't have our life together. It's always falling apart. And if you choose to do anything, you got to kind of realize that your life is is messy, is chaotic, is going to fall apart at any given moment. And no matter how you sort of plan things out, there's always dropping off for me, and I'm sure that this is really different for you, but for me, it's I gotta drop off my kids at school or, pick them up when they're sick or like all of those things that happen. So the only thing that I could do and tell in my head is just do the best that I possibly can. And if I can't get to it, then there's no amount of anxiety, changing who I am, any of that stuff will actually impact it. And so I could choose life to be, or I could choose to live the life where I'm miserable all the time because I realize that this is not the perfect reality, or I simply say, I'm doing my best. And that's all that matters. Is I'm doing my best and I'm going to try to love myself. And that's the hard thing. I always feel like I'm out of place. I always feel like I'm really shame based, um, where I'm not living up to my potential. All of those things are very real to me. But I'm going to try to do my best at any given time. And if somebody stops to talk to me, I'm going to try to stop and talk to them and say hi. I'm going to do little things that human beings actually do rather than say, oh, I got to go work, or oh, I've got this thing that is so much more important than you are. And I think that's the key thing, at least for me, is to just continuously try to love myself and love other people around me. It's hard to do. It really is super hard to do, but I just try to do the best that I possibly can at any given time. So that when I go to bed at night, I know that I am trying to do my best. That's all that matters. All right, take care. Have a wonderful day.